Hello, fellow friends, and welcome to Weezer Review, the show where we review Weezer, in case you didn't know that already. And today, what are we reviewing?
So, like we said last week, we had the option of taking either the big step into the fifth official studio album or the album that would have came instead of the fifth album. And thus we chose the better of the two, of course. Executive decisions and whatnot.
Right.
So today we'll be reviewing the Weezer album, which is made up of B-side tracks, Homecoming.
Yes, it is very epic. If you're wondering how you find it, just go to YouTube and look it up.
Yeah.
It's worth the listen, I'm telling you now.
It is. It's pretty good. Pretty good. So, when it comes to Mo Beats, which is the first song on the Homecoming album, I think it is very good. It's a flat out good song. You've got a good pumping beat. So it's not really, you can't base it in the standard Weezer punk rock or pop. It's more just Weezer rock, really. Kind of in a little bit of a taste of like a classic rock style. Now, Mo Beats, it hits you hard with the bow bow. It has a lot of almost a mix of like a very light synthy but very heavy electric guitar sounds, and it rocks with its own beat, and it keeps that beat through the entire song, I think.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the lyrics I think take a back seat for once in a while, and they're not the focus. The focus is the music, and the actual lyrics just go along to fill in the gap with the music. Like, if you take a listen, the lyrics don't make a lot of sense. They make some sense, but it seems more in the idea of making the lyrics actually there that make the sounds of the songs fit together better. Almost like bridging the sounds.
Now, I haven't ever listened to any of these demo kinds of albums before Homecoming. This is like one of the first ones I listened to. And Mo Beats is like one of those things that made me realize, just because they're demos, they are not bad. They are fantastic sometimes, and much better than what we actually got. And Mo Beats is like a good opening song, because right out the gate it's like, listen to me, I'm really good. Because most of the albums up to this point had decent opening songs. Like, most of the good stuff came in the center, like a Hot Pocket. So, having it start very strong at the beginning to draw you in is how an opening song should be. So this is best opening song as of now.
Yeah. In a way, the very beginning of the song is very true to the album. I got more beats than ya. Yeah. So what do you think of Mo Beats, really? Do you think it's like a really, really good hit hopping song? Or do you think overall in the album is it really almost like just a secondary?
Oh, definitely not secondary. I think this is definitely one of my favorites on the album. And like, this is one of the most memorable ones for me, because normally the opening song does stick with you a lot. And since this song was so good as an opening song, it really sticks in your head. And
Yeah.
I love that.
Personally, I think it almost touches down a little bit into like Red Album territory, which is a little weird because that came so much later in time. But Mo Beats really is it's hip happening because of the style they choose, and they choose like just a classic Weezer rock style, and mix in the idea of, yeah, I'm doing this because I know I'm good at it, kind of.
Yeah, a lot like Red Album.
Yeah. So our next song on the album is Living Without You.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you think of Living Without You?
Okay, so you got Mo Beats and you got Living Without You. This is the upper echelon of Homecoming. These songs are very, very, very good. And just like Mo Beats, out the opening, you're getting hit with very strong songs that want you to keep on listening. And Living Without You is a good way of doing that. Mo Beats was a kind of slower song, but then Living Without You is a really fast-paced, fun rock song that I love a lot. And like when they're doing in the beginning, like they sing their lyric, and then I don't know if it's Scott or Brian, but in the end he's like, the things you want,
You cut me off.
and
when I
that's
was
just
trying.
goes into the fun atmosphere of the song. Very nice sprinkle.
Yeah. Living Without You, you can tell that there is again, a lot of Weezer has the style of there is a message behind the music. And I think Living Without You is no different. And it's pretty plain within the name itself is a story about living without somebody. And, well, having somebody and then choosing to live without them kind of style, you know? And it's interesting the choice they have when it comes to actually having the lyrics of it match up with the style of music it is, because it's almost like a pop rock Weezer song. And you can really tell that in the up-paced beat, but the heavy sound and the heavy tune. And overall, I think it is a worthy combination to try, especially because of how hard it actually runs and hits. So overall, I think Living Without You is pretty good. May not be the best, but it's pretty hitting hard.
Exactly. All right. So next up, we got another song, Private Message. Now, this is one I'd like to hear your opinion about.
So, Private Message, I think, is interesting. It is a little different to the rest of the songs on Homecoming, mainly because of the style that they then try to switch to, almost. So, Mo Beats and Living Without You both have almost a really hard-hitting, fast-hitting song, and Private Message is no different to that. It still has that Weezer feel to it. However, Private Message is a lot softer, I think.
Right.
And Private Message is interesting not because of the lyrics, even though the lyrics do go into some interesting spots and details, but Private Message is interesting with the style that they chose to actually set up the song, I think. And not only where it comes in where they set up the song in the set of list in the actual set, when it comes to A side and B side of this track, but also when it comes to the style of music and the notes that they choose and the chord progressions that they actually choose in the song, you know?
Yeah, I very much agree, and I think it's a pretty strong song. Probably, for me, not as strong as Mo Beats or Living Without You, but I think those are very high standards to place on a song, so I'm going to say it's very good, and I enjoy it. So next is a personal favorite of mine, which I didn't expect to be at first, Untenable. Now, this is very much like Living Without You in that it's a very fast rock song, and it really feels like it, except it's a lot more, I think, I don't know, I feel like it hits a little harder than Living Without You. Rocks a little more. So, in all honesty, it's pretty good, and I like it a little bit more than Living Without You, and they pair together very well, I think.
Yeah. Untenable is a very fun song, I think. Not in the style of fun as you would expect, like pop rock, but it's really fun in the style of Weezer rock. It really has that hard-hitting music that is Weezer's known for, and those interesting riffs when it comes to guitars, I think. And with the progression of the song and overall in this album, it almost takes you on an interesting bit of a roller coaster on the style of music that they choose to go through the entire song. And this is a very important part in between the transition to the next area, I think.
Now, next, we got We Go Together, which is another kind of laid-back song. It's kind of similar to Private Message, but I feel is a lot softer. And it just kind of is like where they take those fast songs and they kind of got to like put something to space in between them. You get Living Without You, fast song. You slow down with Private Message. Untenable, fast. We Go Together, slow it down a bit. Now, out of the two that I would choose for Private Message and We Go Together is probably the weakest of the two for me because I feel like it's a little too soft, if that's such a thing. Which, I mean, I guess it can be a thing because I just think it could have been a little, I don't know. It just feels like it was holding back or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying, and I think I'll go a little bit more in depth later in the album itself when it comes to that kind of style, going a little bit too soft and not reaching the full potential I think that should be there.
Yeah, like there could have been a little more to it, is just what I was thinking, you know?
Yeah. So, the next song is one that I have had troubles with. 367 is a song that I will randomly have pop into my head and I will listen to it in my head, but then when it comes to try to figure out the actual name of the song to look it up to listen to it again, I can't remember it. Now, I've bested that problem a little bit because I remember it's the one weird Weezer name
Right.
for the Weezer songs, right? It's the one weird track name. And because it is just numbers, it is just 367, which I have yet to actually figure out what the meaning behind that is.
Well, darn, I was going to ask you.
Yeah, I know. I have no clue. There's probably something, or who knows, it might be Rivers being Rivers, just putting nothing there and making it seem like something.
The song is 3 minutes and 67 seconds.
No, it's not.
long.
No, it's not. It's not that simple.
Dang it.
But 367 is interesting, I think. It is a bit of a love song as well. Weezer is known for, of course.
Right.
And it's interesting the style they go for. It's almost like a rock love song, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because it has the style of the middle of Mo Beats, like you can declaw for a violent fee, enough to say something sharp, say to me to pierce my heart.
Right.
It has that grasping rock sound, but it's taking that sound and mixing it with actual like love song lyrics talking about the girl.
Right.
And it's an interesting combination that fits really well. And I think 367 is an example of how good Rivers is at making music. Mm-hmm. I think he's got it almost down to a science, you know.
Right. And I also like 367. I think it's basically what We Go Together could have been. You know, a song that can display a kind of love song kind of feel, but also being able to rock.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I also liken it to Death and Destruction, a soft song that also had some rock in it. And those songs were very, very good, and I very much like the mix of taking it easy while also being able to let out some rock at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's normally the best songs come out of that good balance between the two.
Yeah. Now, the next song, interesting.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say the least? Prodigy Lover is a little different. It goes a little bit more with like Private Message in the style of being a very soft and very subtle song almost. Mm-hmm. It's not forgettable, but it is not Weezery rock. And it seems like a bit of a sore thumb to shove into Homecoming overall. Sure, in Homecoming you have multiple soft songs, but Prodigy Lover is a little bit weird when it comes to being soft. It's soft, but it has almost the sound of Weezer. It has the sound of Weezer without the hard-hitting rhythms or the hard-hitting chords. And there's absolutely no riffs in it.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. It's a soft song that sounds like it's tired and needs to go to bed.
It is. That's a very good way to put it. However, the meaning behind it is pretty nice. Just reading through the lyrics, you can understand pretty well about being about him being a prodigy lover, right?
Right.
Pretty simple, you know?
Yeah. All in all, a good concept, but this is a song that should have gotten 9 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
They only slept 6 hours.
Probably.
All right. So this next one I actually like as well. She Who Is a Militant. It was a surprise to me because most of the time I'd be listening to my playlist and like I was trying to avoid Homecoming at first because I was like trying to listen to other albums. I know, shame on me. And She Who Was a Militant would pop up a lot in that mix, and I would be skipping over like, ugh, this song pops up so much. And then I finally took the time to listen to it, and I must say, I very much love it. Because when they go with the piano like, dun it, dun it, dun dun it, dun it, with the guitars and the piano together, it's actually a really good build up to the rest of the song every time they do it. I'm like, yes, yes.
So, you mentioned something that I think is very important that we actually haven't talked about yet, is Homecoming has one of two sides. It has two sides to it. It has the heavy rock side, just Weezer rock straight through, and then it has piano. It has like the Weezer piano side, where a lot of the songs are very soft, very mellow, and they are very high keyed because of the fact that they're using a lot of piano in them. And later on in the career of Weezer overall, they do use pianos a lot in certain areas and certain sections, certain B-sides to certain tracks. Like Red Album did have a lot of piano.
White Album had quite a bit too.
White Album did too. White Album was very heavy with piano.
Yeah, and I like some Weezer piano in all honesty.
It's very good, but it has to be done right. And I think that's pretty obvious with certain songs from Red Album and White.
Right.
And when it's done right, it's done really well.
Yeah.
Later on, we'll get to that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think overall about the song?
Personally, I think it's a good hard rockin' song. I like it. It's like 3-6-7.
Yeah.
Where they have their soft bits, and then all of a sudden they kind of like hit you with a rock in between the chorus and the normal verses. And I think this is just as good as a mix as 3-6-7, if not better for me at least.
I can see that.
Yeah, I very much like the song.
So, the next song is a very interesting one, I think. I don't know quite the meaning behind it, really, but I know a meaning behind it. So, the next song, Mansion of Cardboard, is a interesting song. It is very interesting because of the fact that they choose to go with it. Mansion of Cardboard talks a lot about being happy with what you have, even though you don't have much.
Right.
And that is explicitly shown with the idea of the old man that sleeps in a house made of cardboard slats
Right.
under a bridge, and that's enough for him.
That's a good message.
It is a good message. It is a humbling message that a lot of people, I think, nowadays need to learn. And you need to be happy with what you have, even though it may not be as much as others.
Right.
And sometimes that's just okay. And you got to deal with it. And you deal with it, and then you live the best you can with what you have. And that's not even getting to the actual music.
Oh, yeah.
So, the music is a softer rock sound. It is almost classic rock in the style of being almost Fleetwood Mac-ish. A lot lower pitch, of course. However, it does have a lot of the soothing strummings, and it has a couple of actual nice chord progressions and chords chosen in general that gives it a nice mellow sound, but having the sound completely be full, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And overall, I personally really like Mansion of Cardboard.
Yeah. You know, Homecomings is kind of an album where they mix together soft and rocking kind of music.
It is.
And it's actually very enjoyable for that, because each album kind of seems to have their own little gimmick.
Yeah, all albums have their own shtick.
Exactly. And this seems to be Homecomings, and I'm happy to tell you, gents, that it does it very well.
Yeah.
And Mansion of Cardboard is one of my favorite examples of it. It keeps me invested, even in the soft bits. And then the one part where they're belting out like, mansions of cardboard slats, and it's enough. like where they harmonize together on that.
Mhm.
I love Weezer's harmonies most of
Yeah.
the time. Between, in all honesty, I don't know because I can't differentiate the voices.
Spirit of Matt.
Spirit of Matt singing with Rivers together makes it very, very good. And every time I hear that, I'm like, oh my goodness, my ears are very pleased.
Okay.
So next, we got a weird one. Everybody wants a chance to be all alone. Now, this song is like, okay, so everyone else is like, hey, we're gonna rock it out, we're gonna mix it up a bit. This one's like, nah. We're dialing it all the way back. Turn the dial down to 1. And we're just gonna have a nice acoustic guitar over some smooth singing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, most of the time I'd be okay with this, but in this one, I don't know, it's just kind of a song that I tune out a lot of the time. It's nice to listen to in the background, but I'm not really tuned in the whole time I'm listening to it.
Well, it's interesting because if I were to compare this song to anything else, I would actually go back and compare it to Blue. I would compare Everybody Wants a Chance to Be Alone to like In the Garage and things like that. However, it's the style of in the Garage without harmonica.
Yeah.
It is a less bluesy sound, but they harmonize more in the actual sound of it, you know? And it brings out a style of idea that really hits home to some people and really doesn't for others. So, for an example, Everybody Wants a Chance to Be Alone. That idea, just those words in general, is an idea a lot of introverts know. And it's a wanting to be by yourself, to be able to recharge, to then be able to be with people again, right?
Right.
Everybody wants a chance to be alone and be able to rest themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And plain and simple, that is a very flat idea, very known, right? So, overall, the message in it is pretty simple and pretty flat, and wanting to be alone to be able to recharge yourself, and being able to take care of your own self, you know? And just having the very calm, very mellow side of music to go with it, almost acoustic feel, basically brings that idea out much more heavily, and it fits really well. It's like it's combining two things that are very close to each other to make something that fits together.
Right. Because when you think about how the music is, it's just like, acoustic guitar, one person singing and then some guys going ooh in the background. There's not a lot because it's a kind of lonely song with just only a few instruments in it. It just kind of feels lonely as ooh. Yes.
Oh, okay. Now, I know that you don't really like this song very much. I know that this is basically your least liked song on the album, but we gotta review it, okay? So, the organ player...
Hold up. Who told you this?
You told me this. No, they told me this, yeah.
You're wrong. This song is a bop.
Yeah, so the organ player is a very interesting song. It goes very heavy at the beginning with, like, the piano sound, which I think is almost representative of an organ. Mm-hmm. Hence the name The Organ Player. And then the organ player is almost like a ballad.
Yeah.
However, just like most ballads, they're most probably fictional. And this one is about an organ player knowing that what they're doing, the work that they're doing, is more important than themselves. And a lot of people know about that idea of putting your work in front of yourself and what you're doing is more important than you as a whole. Which is, it's true in some cases, but not in all. However, it's the spirit of somebody wanting to put themselves into something because they know that if they put themselves into something else, that will last better than they will themselves. And that will be more important than they could by themselves anyways. Which is an interesting idea to focus a song on, especially in Weezer's case.
Right.
Especially because a lot of Weezer is about like individuality and being able to be yourself and being able to take care of yourself, you know? Mm-hmm. But then you have that idea mixed with a couple of interesting like lines that really reference back to Weezer knowing who Weezer is and Rivers knowing where he comes from and the style of person he is, and then combining that with the actual style of the song being very, very calm, very, very slow, but then pumping in some just standard Weezer guitar into it, like a couple of riffs.
Yeah.
And it makes an interesting combination.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like the just sound of this song.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I hear it come on, I gotta let it play through. It's a very soothing song, and the opening to it is able to kind of have a rock feel to it without being overbearing, like just very soft, and it kind of feels like it's played through a jukebox sometimes. It has that soft, muffled jukebox sound to it, and I really like it for that because it's about organs, which are really a kind of soft instrument, and I think even in the chorus they use the organ as a background instrument, and it's very, I think it adds a lot to the song, and I like the addition of the organ to the normal guitars and piano. It just makes a variety of instruments that I didn't think you would be hearing in a Weezer song, but it really works, I think.
Okay, now hear me out. So the organ player is, as we know from the lyrics, is casting satanic spells, right, and summoning demons from hell. What if they're not playing an actual instrument? What if they're playing organs?
Oh, dude.
The organ player.
That's like 4D chess time right there.
Yeah.
I can't even.
Nah.
I don't think so. That's a bit too big brain. I think it's just about a guy who likes playing the organ.
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay. You ready?
No, I don't like this one.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
So, like I was saying before, I know the feeling of, on this album, something hitting not hard enough. Something feeling like it pulls its punches. You can hear where they're going with it, but it's just not reaching it.
Mm-hmm.
And Queen of Earth is my example of that heavily.
Right.
Queen of Earth, it starts out with an interesting enough concept with the music. However, it really feels like it pulls punches. And it really feels like it could heavily benefit from some rockin' Weezer guitars or just a different style of Weezer put into there.
Really?
Because Queen of Earth has a really whiny, very Pinkerton style without the Pinkerton emotion. And it has a very blue, calm style without the blue rock.
Mm-hmm.
It's missing part of it. It's trying to take its cake and eat it too, and it makes up with a mess.
Yeah. See, with most of these songs, I'd be willing to hold the punches because they're all demos. Like, maybe if this album was actually released, maybe some of these songs wouldn't be this way. But the way Queen of Earth is, as of now, is kind of not fun, and I don't like it. Like, it's got the slow pulling punches feel of We Go Together while being slow and having a distorted voice that I don't really like the sound of in the very beginning, and I think throughout the song, I'm pretty sure, I just can't remember this song that much because I listen to the beginning and I'm like, ew, and then my brain tunes out. My brain goes, ew.
I know that you have been listening more recently to like the songs from the Black Hole.
Right.
I almost feel like this should have been there at one point. Like, multiple songs go into songs from the Black Hole that were actually from fully done studio albums. I feel like this almost feels like it fits the cosmic feel to it, the stylistic choice anyways, like the very beginning and the very end of songs from the Black Hole, but it's not there. It's not put in, and I don't know why.
I don't know. Well, gents, we've made it to the very, very, very end.
Well,
and now, it is time to start reviewing songs like favorites and least favorites. You know what I mean. You know what time it is.
Yep.
So,
we're starting with least favorites.
Okay, I was going to let you go ahead.
So, I'm doing this because it's just simplest to do first. My least favorite, personally, from Homecoming, is the final song, the ending track, Queen of Earth.
Yeah.
Like I said, it feels like it pulls its punches. It's not rocking to the tune of its own Weezer. And that's its flaw. Its flaw is trying to have its cake and eat it too, and ending up with a pile of mud.
Yeah. I'm just gonna have to agree. I'm done adding more onto this song. I can't give it any more attention.
Mm-mm.
Put it in the corner where it belongs.
In the corner. Maybe it'll learn.
Yeah.
Now,
But now,
the favorite song.
give the gold medal.
Okay.
Okay, can I give the gold medal to my favorite song?
Yeah.
Okay, epic. Let me see here. Just making sure I know which one I want to give it to. Because
As
it's
if
very
you have to know.
Well, see, I'm kind of debating. So
I
I'm gonna
know.
give my honorable mention to Mo Beats because I love Mo Beats.
Mo Beats
but
is
I'm
good.
Mo Beats is very good. So, but I'm gonna give my gold medal to Untenable.
Really?
Yes, because in all honesty, it kind of sells me right off the beginning with its really fun guitar. Like, hey, yeah, let's get partying, and then
Yeah.
it keeps holding that partying feel. And sometimes I'm just sitting and I want to hear something that makes me happy, and that's what this song is to me. Something that can get me in a happy mood.
Yeah. Well, so it's no secret that Homecoming is personally my favorite album. And trying to find a favorite within this is a little tricky, but I know what it is for sure. And honorable mentions, like you said, Mo Beats, very honorable for how fun, how fast, and how comfortable it is with being itself.
Yes.
And then 367 is very fun with the mix of a style between rock Weezer and love Weezer. And then you also have the piece of art, which is the organ player.
Oh,
which,
yeah.
Which mixes like the Weezer style with the calm melodies and the piano. But overall,
Wait a minute. Am I allowed to change my favorite?
No.
Dang
Yes.
it.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, organ player is my favorite. Honorable mention to Untenable, but I don't even know how I forgot.
I don't know.
It's literally the best.
Yeah. Plays the organ.
I know. I just love. I like myself some Weezer piano.
But my favorite has to be overall. It is, of course, Mansion of Cardboard. It is comfortable with being itself. It is a interesting message that needs to be spread more. And then also they have the stylistic choice of being real Weezer and then having that real Weezer sound.
Mm-hmm.
And it needs to be put up on a podium for saying this is Weezer. This is a style of Weezer and it needs to be shared.
Yeah. And now that we've got our favorites out of the way, I'd say it's about time to rate this bad boy. What do you think?
I think so.
Alright, so this album is pretty good to me.
Mm-hmm.
And if I were to pair it, it'd also be paired with Maladroit and Green Album as the songs post-Pinkerton that were still good. So, comparing it to Maladroit, I like it better than that. But comparing it to Green, I can't place it higher than Green. Therefore, I'm going to place it on the exact same score as Green, giving it a nice and solid 8.5 cardboard slats out of 10.
Mm-hmm. I get you. Now, as I said before, this is one of my favorite albums. Not the favorite, and I can't give it a 10 automatically. So you know what I'm gonna do?
What?
You know what I'm gonna do?
I want to hear it.
I'm gonna give this album right here a nice and tasty 9.5 Matt Sharps out of Homecoming Robots. To round that up to being a nice,
9 out of 10.
tasty 9 out of 10.
I like that. I
Mhm.
can agree to that, and I hope you do too.
Yep.
I mean, you don't have to, but you can.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. With Homecoming, I was wondering, what do you think if Homecoming had replaced Make Believe, how do you think the Weezer history would have changed?
Well, in all honesty, I think it would have been close to the same. Because if we replaced Make Believe, then our whole, little point in time where early 2000s Weezer was doing good and everyone was enjoying what they were doing because, Green was good, Maladroit was good. Then you get Homecoming right after. That would be pretty nice.
Mhm.
And at the same time, I'm kind of wonder if it would have made Red better in hindsight if Homecoming came with it. Or maybe because Red was kind of weird to some people, it might have made it worse for some people.
Mm-hmm.
Because I bet I like Red. So that would have just made another bunch of things that I really like in all successful in succession. I mean, Ratitude still would have come around and spiked them down into a hole for Hurley to dig themselves out of and then, go through all the motions that they're doing today. I'd say that it'd probably be more or less the same as it is today.
Well, Ratitude didn't really put him down all that far. It dug him into a small hole, but then Hurley was able to get him back on an even playing field, and then they got boosted up by Ubate.
Yeah, it would have been about the same though. People would still look back and be like, Ratitude sucked in all this, but
And
they
you know
were able
what?
to bring it back.
You know those people that say Ratitude sucks?
What?
They're puppy haters.
You hear that? That's
what
your
I
first,
say.
ladies and gentlemen.
You hate Ratitude, you hate puppies.
I mean, you're not entirely incorrect, but you're not entirely correct either.
Yeah, I'm technically right.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. All right, so what do you think then?
So, I think overall, obviously Make Believe was a bit of a controversial album, right? And then Make Believe was thought to be one of the more or less down points of Weezer, or at least the going down point.
Right.
I think if one of two things would have happened, either having Homecoming instead of Make Believe would have made it so Weezer would have gone a little bit higher before making a descent, or it would have been able to more or less be about even before it made a descent at all, even because Red wasn't actually that bad.
Yeah.
And it didn't make it take a nosedive. It was more like Make Believe sending it down, and then Red basically not being able to write it, so it just continues the line.
Yeah.
Well, I think either one of two things would have happened. Either if it replaced Make Believe, it would have kept Weezer afloat until Ratitude hit, and that would have basically rocked the boat a little bit, but then they wouldn't have needed Ubate to get out. But really at that point they needed Ubate anyways because of how their mindset was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't for that, if Homecoming came out and Make Believe came out, I almost feel like that would have stressed them out in a way. However, having the positive reviews from Homecoming would have made them calm down, take a breath, and realize what they're doing is good, and not to worry so hard about what they need others to think about their music.
Well, actually, at the start, Make Believe had pretty good reviews.
Well, yeah,
But, in hindsight, people didn't really like it that much.
Well, it's like an apple. Once you eat the apple, you have the core, and once you have the core and you throw it away, it'll start to draw gnats unless you throw it away in the big trash can.
Right. That makes sense.
Mhm.
All right. I think that's pretty much all we have to say for now.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys would like to join us next time when we review Make Believe, our first, I guess, mixed album.
Yeah.
I'd say. I mean, I haven't listened to it fully. I don't know if it's gonna be mixed, but I'd like to be pleasantly surprised. In all honesty.
Yep. So, tell us what you think. Do you love it? Do you hate it? What would you rate it? If you like our show, give us a nice little comment down below. If you think it's nice, give it a like. And finally, if you want to see more, give us a subscribe. Tell us we're doing good, and
Yeah.
we'll continue the good work.
All right. That sounds good to me.
Yep.
Have a good day, gents.